Patreon only. It's a secret. Only the people who get the full show.
So, what about those churros?
Hey, how about them churros? They sure are food.
Churros are just very bad.
Yeah, churros are barely food. They're more like treats, which I understand qualify as food, but aren't really.
It's like, and I know I'm going to upset everybody with this one too, but it's the way I feel about the Kit Kat. It's just not a good candy bar. It's
what?
Fluff. It's just fluff.
What?
Sarah Lane.
I know. I stand by my feelings.
I'm so glad there are other things I like about you.
This would really be kind of the final straw.
I'm so glad I know other things about you than just that one fact.
I have to admit, I'm a little bit shocked and disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
Won't be bringing her any special sake flavored Kit Kats from Japan.
Right? That is so clever, that marketing thing they do.
Yeah, it really is.
It's so for those who don't know, in Japan, you have this tradition. Anytime you go on a trip, be it for work or leisure, you bring back omiyage, which is basically just something, a little present for your coworkers, and mostly your coworkers, maybe your family. And it has to be something from the region, ideally. And Kit Kat has made one different flavored Kit Kat thing per district or region in Japan. It's like there's 50 or so. And they're all mostly disgusting, but it's super clever because it's very funny, and everyone brings them as omiyage.
The strawberry ones.
I like the melon ones, actually. Those are good.
I like the melon chewy candies, the ones that are like they're just
shoot, what are those called? Chew.
They look like little hockey
Haichu.
pucks.
Haichu.
No, not Haichus. These are
not Haichu.
They look like, those Halloween candies that are like kind of look like a hockey puck with the little sugar crystals on it or whatever.
Okay.
So like that without the sugar crystals on it.
Are you all ready to
Hold on a second. Do you guys still hear me?
Yes, we
don't see you though.
Oh, that's weird. Logic just took over. Hold on a second.
Oh, yeah, we hear you just fine.
All right. Well,
you mean the
don't
rapper?
You hate it? Don't you hate it when that happens on the internet, when logic takes over?
I mean, he's got fresh beats
now. Oh, I meant like the reasoning, but.
All right.
I meant the.
Okay, I got to jump back in.
Okay, all right. So we'll be in a holding pattern. We're waiting for clearance for takeoff from the tower, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for the delay. As soon as we are cleared for takeoff, we'll let you know and get your regular Daily Tech News show underway. We apologize for this inconvenience. We know you have a choice when listening to Tech News, and we thank you for choosing Daily Tech News show.
Keep it going. Jeez, come on. Tom?
Keep your seatbelts fastened. Please remember to keep your...
Okay, maybe I can entertain people. Can I find this thing? People on video.
People on video.
People on the video of the internet. Look at this. Are you noticing something changing?
Whoa. Your wall is melting.
Oh my God, look at that.
You've got hue lights or something like it.
It is hue lights.
Nice.
And I can make myself very blue as well, or very warm, or
Patrick,
very blue.
Are you okay? You're flush. You look great.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, which looks better?
Oh,
this looks weird, right?
Yeah, no, you look blue there.
Okay.
That looks pretty good.
There we go.
What do you think, Roger?
All right.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Hue.
Cool.
Oh, wait, what happened? Suddenly it's just auto-changing?
No, I'm playing with it now.
Oh, okay.
The app. Yep. There you go. That's it.
Sarah's back.
Yay,
Sorry. You know what? It was my fault. I knocked the Logitech out of the USB-C.
There you go.
All
okay.
Right. Okay.
3, 2.
Do you enjoy hearing the tech news delivered by smart, informed people? Me too. Learn more about how you can support this show at dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, June 19th. Happy Juneteenth, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
And from extremely tired and underslept Patrick Beja, I'm Patrick Beja. The baby didn't sleep well last night.
No.
So
Now that you're, a few months in, how does never sleeping feel? Do you just get used to it? Or
usually, yes, but sometimes there's a particularly bad night, and then you feel like you haven't slept. It's terrible.
Man who knows that pain all too well, producer Roger Chang.
Yes, it is. It's something you adjust to.
Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
On Monday, the U.S. Office of Government Ethics, or the OGE, said anybody working for the executive branch of the U.S. government should disclose their cryptocurrency holdings. The OGE says cryptocurrency is property held for investment or the production of income instead of real currency or legal tender, and, quote, may create a conflict of interest for employees who own it.
Interesting. You know what's cool? Podcasts. I hear they're pretty big. Google launched a standalone podcast app for Android called Google Podcasts, which will use Google's algorithms to drive people to shows they might like based on their listening habits. Google discontinued Google Listen, another podcast app, back in 2012. But I guess podcasts are back.
Yay, they're back again. Hooray. Sydney, Australia biohacker Meow Ludodisca Gamma Meow Meow, that is his name, was convicted for fare evasion because he embedded the RFID chip from his Opel Transit car into his hand. He appealed, and a district court judge ruled in his favor on Monday. Thanks to Chris for the tip-off on this. So I'm just going to dig the RFID chip out of my Opel card for the next time I go to Australia. Just stick it right in there in my hand.
Better luck next time, Disco Gamma Meow Meow. Really good name, though. But, don't do that.
No, but he won.
Okay. That's fine.
Yay! There was some cheering that was supposed to happen. Let's do it again. Tom?
I just don't want him to get an infection. Anyway,
Yeah,
the Federal Court of Australia says that Apple must pay 9 million Australian dollars for denying refunds to users who received that Error 53, which bricked iPhones and iPads that got repairs from third-party sellers instead of through Apple itself. Apple argued that Error 53 was a security measure to protect things like fingerprint sensors from exploits. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission conducted an undercover operation in June 2017 where Apple employees said Apple wasn't responsible for fixing those phones repaired by an unauthorized third party. Apple now admits that was wrong.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about what it's going to be like in your hotel soon.
Well, Amazon introduced an invite-only hospitality version of its voice assistant designed for places like hotels and vacation rental spaces. Guests can order room service, request housekeeping, or adjust room control like lights and temperature using an Echo inside their rooms. Amazon says hotels are not given access to voice recordings of interactions and can't review the Echo's responses, and the requests are deleted from Amazon servers daily. Amazon also says that soon, quote unquote, users will be able to temporarily link their own Amazon account with Echoes so they can play their own music and other personal features. Marriott is Amazon's launch partner on the new platform and will integrate it at Marriott, Westin, St. Regis. Sorry, I don't
St.
know
Regis.
It's St. Regis, of course, and Aloft locations.
I gotta say, the privacy issues aside, and of course, there are potential privacy issues, this is great. Particularly if you're, because we're all used to sort of like, oh, look, you can charge your iPhone, but now that charger's out of date, whatever. But if there's an Echo or another kind of speaker inside my hotel room, and I can link it to some music service that I like, where I don't have to play it out of the speakers of my laptop or something, that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. What's really interesting to me is that you have a device that can maybe do those things with you. It's your smartphone. I understand it's not exactly the same thing, but it's kind of interesting that we're going from a personal device with which you do your computing to a ubiquitous kind of ambient, I think it's ambient computing, the official term.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting really everywhere.
Well, the two things, right? The hotel doesn't know which smartphone platform you're on. and they want to maintain a platform that ties it into the the room cleaning and the room service and all of that. So having it installed in the room makes sense in that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's probably the only time I use a regular old phone is in a hotel being like, hi, can I get breakfast? That sort of thing.
Right.
So as long as the Echo is understanding you and they're understanding the Echo correctly, it's like that just takes out a whole step.
And they're addressing the privacy issue right out of the gate, saying, look, if you don't trust Amazon, then you'll have a problem with this. But Amazon's going to manage all the data. Only aggregate data at all would be shared with the hotel just based on usage. They won't have any of your personal data. They'll delete your requests every day, and they will automatically log you off once you check out. Question is, if any of that stuff doesn't happen, then that's a problem.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk, perhaps you've heard of him, sent an email to all employees on Monday that suggested there was a link from a factory fire recently to sabotage by an employee. This follows an email that Musk sent on Sunday to all employees, alleging an employee had conducted, quote, quite extensive and damaging sabotage to the company's operations, including changing code to an internal product and exporting data to outsiders. Tesla is currently working to meet its goal of 5,000 Model 3s per week by the end of June. Obviously, that's been a challenge. Last week, the company laid off 9% of its workforce.
Yeah. This is a weird one, isn't it? I read the memo, and it's very much in the voice of Elon Musk of like, hey, guys, this isn't great, but apparently people don't want us to win, oil companies and stuff. On the other hand, I don't disbelieve him. So I think the only reason this is getting as much attention as it is because A, it's Elon Musk, and B, the Model 3 production problems. If sabotage is happening, that could really undermine the Model 3 production. And if Model 3 production doesn't hit the targets Elon Musk has promised, stockholders are going to be very upset.
How much of it is being weaponized by Elon Musk to take the attention off the layoffs and maybe the issues with production of the Model 3? I mean, I'm sure it actually happened.
It's an interesting thought, but it feels like it emphasizes the Model 3 production problems, not...
Yeah, but it's not his fault.
Yeah, but investors don't care. They're like, look, you can't keep your employees from sabotaging you. We're not going to be any happier than if you didn't hit the targets for some other way.
Yeah, I know the article I read from CNBC who had gotten the email from some employees. The employee or employees involved in either of these incidents were not named. That name might be public to some people, but yeah, I agree with you, Patrick. There's a little bit of me that's like, if you just say that somebody started a factory fire, then it's easier for you to say, we're trying really hard. Like our employees are going crazy, or maybe they're employed by a competitor and this is all some big conspiracy.
It creates a little bit of it puts them in the, challenger seat again. They're like, they don't want us to win. They're fighting us dirty.
I don't know if that's going to work. I get what you guys are saying.
No.
I just
probably.
IBM held 2 debates Monday between professional debaters and an IBM computer program called the IBM Debater, part of Project Debater. A lot of using of the word debater. They followed standard debate rules, meaning no awareness of the debate topic ahead of time for either the computer or the people, no pre-canned responses. Each side gave a 4-minute introductory speech, a 4-minute rebuttal to the other's arguments, and a 2-minute closing statement. So for the computer, it had to listen to the opening statement and then compose a rebuttal based on what was said. Topics were telemedicine and subsidizing space exploration. And The Verge's Dieter Bohn talked to the VP and lab director for IBM Research at Almaden, Jeff Welser, and discovered that Project Debater will argue against a point directly if it feels confident its argument is right, but if it's less confident, it will instead make an argument that it thinks is convincing, even if it doesn't address the point.
Ooh, like a real human.
Exactly. IBM's system was designed to advance natural language understanding, so listening to the debate, and parsing information in a decision-making context. So it could be used in lots of places where you need help making a decision. Could be used in identifying frauds and scams and fake news and things like that.
It is super interesting. Well, first of all, even if it doesn't work super well, the fact that it's kind of being considered as a project that is acceptably coherent is mind-blowing already for someone who grew up in a world where we didn't have machine learning and functioning AIs or simile AIs. The video, though, I mean, they're not releasing, I think, I haven't found it, any footage of the debates, which I would
not
love.
Of these two. They have some short video of a previous one that they did, I think, in-house.
It's super short. Basically, you don't have a full argument of the computer, which I'm guessing means that it's not fully baked yet. It was really interesting. At some point, the rebuttal was about the fact that the other person was speaking really fast. So that's kind of unexpected, but we don't know how much of it is kind of canned or prepared.
None of it is supposed to be canned.
Not canned, but it's like there are a certain number of scenarios. Like if you don't know what to say, then see if that person
I see
is
what you're
speaking
saying.
too fast.
That might violate the rules, though, of the no pre-canned responses. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think the AI figured out, hey, that person is speaking really fast, so I should say that. Like it's one of the parameters.
What if it did?
Well, we don't know, but there isn't a lot of, we can't see the full debate. And I'm guessing that means it's not quite satisfactory yet, but still very.
Or they just haven't posted it online yet because it was yesterday. that could be just as possible too.
There's some super technological solutions on the internet that allow you to post video live as it's being recorded.
They did not live stream it. That's true. On to your story, Patrick.
Right. I was waiting for the introduction. Xiaomi has decided to delay its mainland China IPO until after its Hong Kong IPO. As a consequence, it has lowered its valuation to between US dollars 55 billion and 70 billion US dollars. The delay appears to be caused by a dispute between Xiaomi and Chinese regulators over the value of China depository receipts.
So this, China's been working hard to try to get companies to issue their stock in China more often. This is not a good situation for them in that respect. But it also is not good for Xiaomi because it had said 70 billion would be its floor previously, and now it's had to revise that. That said, Patrick, you're the first person I know of our circle here who has been using an actual Xiaomi phone.
Yeah, I got the Xiaomi Mi, how's it called? Mi A1, and it's a pretty cheap phone. It's under 200 euros here in Europe. Xiaomi just launched in France a couple of weeks ago or maybe a month ago. And it's under 200 euros. You can even find it for 150. And honestly, I am kind of amazed by the quality of this phone. You think less than 200, it's probably $200 in the US, less than 200, that's going to be a pretty crappy experience. Of course, the camera is not top notch. The screen is not super OLED or anything like that, but the screen is good. The camera is decent. It has a fingerprint reader. It's not super fast, but it runs every app I've thrown at it pretty well. Honestly, I would never, ever have guessed that for this price, you could get a phone that good, that quality. I'm completely amazed by this.
And now you understand the Xiaomi success, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's been the experience. People are like, oh, I only have this much money. I guess I'll get this one. Wait a minute. This is almost as good as the much more expensive phones.
Yeah.
Well,
I would expect that kind of experience from a phone that's at least 2, maybe 3 times that price.
I'm glad you're amazed, Patrick, because I have another amazing story for you. Scientists published a paper in Nature Biomedical Engineering describing a trial at Oxford's John Radcliffe Hospital of robotic-assisted eye surgery. A Dutch firm's robot named Precise, kind of like eyes, EYES, but precise, I don't know, conducted a procedure to remove a membrane from the back of an eye. The robo surgery took 4 minutes and 55 seconds. Now that's compared to the 1 minute and 20 seconds that a human can conduct. However, the robot had, quote, equal or better efficacy. Also not really very far behind. Next step is to use the robot for precise and minimally traumatic delivery of gene therapy to the retina sometime in 2019.
Yeah, so I think if I'm reading this Oxford release right, the scientists are saying this was the first step in proving that precise can work. They took 12 people who needed this eye surgery, and they randomly assigned 6 of them to a manual procedure and 6 of them to the robotic procedure, and there was essentially no difference. One did take a little longer than the other, like you said. But what they want to do is prove that that's okay so that they can then go on to these more complicated surgeries where I think they expect there to be more benefit in using the robotic surgery assistance than not.
Right. And clearly, well, the idea is that there's more disparity in precision to the point where robots are just better at this. And you hear this in lots of, I mean, the eye surgery stuff is just mind blowing to me, but MRIs, reading MRIs, it's like we're starting to get to a point where more and more doctors are saying, you know, we could also like do other things. The robots are actually helping a lot.
And as you mentioned, it's not like autonomous robot. It doesn't go in and do the surgery by itself. It's basically an arm that is controlled by the doctor who does movements a little bit wider that are reduced by the robot with the needle inside the eye. This is kind of grossing me out, but it's assisting. So it's a lot more precise.
So that the doctor says, go here, and then the robot does it precisely where it's supposed to.
Exactly. And clearly the big piece of this news that is to be discussed is the name, but sadly we have run out of time. But precise is very clever.
We are precisely out of time.
Because
hey, folks, if you want to,
sorry.
If you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to Daily Tech Headlines at dailytechheadlines.com. So, we mentioned at the end of the yesterday's show, because we had a Canadian listener wrote in very excited about YouTube Premium, that Patrick Beja seemed to be very excited about YouTube Premium. YouTube Premium is the new name for YouTube Red, which gives you the original programming from YouTube. It gives you ad-free experience on YouTube, and it gives you YouTube Music. The big part of this launch is, of course, YouTube Music, which now has a free version with ads in the YouTube Music app, YouTube Music Premium, which is, if you're new, the same price as YouTube Red, but only gives you the music features. And then YouTube Premium, without the word music, will cost you a couple dollars more, unless you're already a YouTube Red subscriber, which you could only be if you're in the United States. Anyway, I think maybe the fact that we've had YouTube Red for a while, and for us, it was just sort of a price increase, even though YouTube Red subscribers are grandfathered in without having to pay the increased price. We weren't as excited as you were, Patrick. What got you so excited about this?
Well, I mean, there's a number of things. First of all, the possibility of actually paying to get rid of ads on YouTube is very enticing to me. And I think many people in outside the US, I use YouTube a lot, and ads have become, I get a minimum of 1 ad per video. Sometimes the video interrupts as well, because I watch long form very often. So the idea that I can get rid of them, I don't really want to use ad blockers for personal philosophical reasons. And this is kind of not life-saving, but it's really exciting. The other thing is that YouTube Music used to be kind of a weird idea, because the way we thought about it, first of all, there were already competing music services on Google, and YouTube was used for music, but how would you do it with video? And I mean, it was just a strange concept. But this new service isn't just, YouTube Red was kind of pricey if it was just to get rid of ads. But if you throw in a music subscription service, which is pretty decent, and the way they've solved the issue is giving you an app that is separate, and that works just like any other music streaming app, but also includes video, it means that the YouTube Premium part of that subscription, if you are willing to go with their music service, is only a couple of bucks. So all in all, it becomes a package that is a little bit difficult to say no to, I think.
That definitely explains the difference, because YouTube Red, which was US only, gave you all those things you just said you like. It gave you YouTube Music, it gave you Google Play Music, it gave you ad-free, it gave you YouTube Red Originals. So that was $10 a month. Or if you were already a Google Play Music subscriber, you got it because you were a Google Play Music subscriber. So where we're sitting is, now there's this thing that's $10 a month that's only the music part of that. And they're going to get rid of Google Play Music eventually and just roll it into YouTube Music. So it almost feels like they're taking something away. And the old YouTube Premium, the old YouTube Red is now called YouTube Premium and is $12 a month in the US. But it does all those things you're talking about: background listening for video, no ads on any video, the YouTube originals like the Karate Kid, the Cobra Kai series. So it's a classic example of, if you didn't have it, this looks great. And it's not confusing. You're like, hey, there's a new product. It's free with ads, or it's music for this price, or it's music and videos for this price. Whereas we're like, hold on, this is confusing. So what happens to my YouTube Red and my Google Play Music? It's so funny.
And this kind of explains why they held off so long to bringing it out to outside the US. And because they were trying to solve that issue of how to do the music thing on YouTube right. And I don't know if you've used the YouTube Music app, but honestly, it's pretty good. It is almost divorced from YouTube. It's kind of a separate music streaming app.
Yeah, it just happens to do video really well, which makes sense, but it's a music app. Again, I don't use it because I am a Google Play Music subscriber and all my playlists and things haven't yet migrated over. Once they do, though, I definitely want to use that YouTube Music app because it's nicer.
Well, I think the other interesting thing is that YouTube is extremely popular, obviously. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, but I'm on Spotify. It's better because I have my playlist, blah, blah, blah. But if you're a YouTube user and you enjoy music, this offering with the premium version is kind of better than every other offering out there. I mean, some titles might be available somewhere and not somewhere else, but paying $10 somewhere else or $12 and having no ads on YouTube on top of your very good music service seems like a significant competitive advantage for YouTube.
Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddits. This story was all over subreddit the last couple of weeks. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. Patrick, we were also excited that you were on the show today because last Thursday we explained the link tax and upload filters that are being considered in the EU. Now, June 20th, the EU Parliament's Legal Affairs Committee will vote on both. They're known as Articles 11 and 13 of the Copyright Directive. We talked about it on Thursday, but you would actually be affected directly. Thoughts?
This is the audio representation of a facepalm. I mean, GDPR was considered with a lot of suspicion from outside the EU, and I think recent events have shown that sometimes government action is warranted and necessary, even though, yes, it creates all of those annoying banners everywhere. Privacy is important. This might be an example of when government action is not only not warranted, but also maybe misguided. As you've explained on the show, these decisions seem to be not only catered to preserve the interests of a very specific group, but also to be ill-advised as policies because they don't seem to be able to achieve what they're setting out to achieve, and they're going to have some potentially pretty nasty side effects. So my reaction as a European is absolutely different from the one I had for GDPR, where I was kind of maybe not cheerleading, but at least thinking, yeah, this might be necessary. A lot of people in Europe are very concerned about all of this, and it might already be too late. So there's a lot of face palming.
Yeah, that's that's consistent with most of the reactions that I've seen out there. And folks, if you want to know a little bit more about this issue, especially before the vote tomorrow, go back and listen to Thursday's show. That was from June 14th with Justin Robert Young, episode 3304. Let's check the mailbags here.
We'll keep the international theme going, at least for those of us in the US. Will from Sydney says, want to shed some light on the confusion around the Amazon Prime and discontinuation of the international store for Australians. This was on our show yesterday. Will links us to the global store on Amazon. He says Amazon introduced what they call the global store that calculates the import duties for you, taxes, many fees you need to pay on your order, and then handles custom clearance on your behalf. And of course, if you're a Prime member, you get free shipping. I think the discontinuation of the American store was overblown. The global store didn't really get the attention that Will thinks it deserved. Will says, overall, it's a smart move by Amazon to unify the Australian shopping experience. It filters out items that can't be shipped anyway, and they take care of the sales tax. Also appears they're showing US products in Australian dollars, although I'm not sure if that includes tax or not. Will says, I joined Prime, but I don't think I'll be ordering from the American store with our current exchange rate. Will also met Tom when Tom was in Sydney at the meetup.
Yeah, that was nice. Thanks for coming out to the meetups, Will. And thank you for explaining this. It sheds light on it in a way that now I understand, which was Amazon wanted to sound like it was mad because it was mad about the fact that the GST was going to be applied to items under $1,000 because it was targeted in a lot of ways at Amazon as being one of the big beneficiaries of the fact that you didn't have to pay the GST on imports under $1,000. But what they really did was say, okay, well, we can't just let people go to Amazon.com anymore because that's a nightmare for the tax collection. So let's route the store through the Australian store. And to avoid having even more tax issues or people getting very upset, we'll make access to that really attractive under Amazon Prime when we launch that, because then you get the free international shipping, and that kind of helps make up for the trouble of all of that. So this all becomes clear now. Thank you, Will.
And we got really thoughtful responses. So also special thanks to Nick and Murray wrote in with really good info on this topic as well. So keep it coming. Love the feedback and a lot of context.
Yeah, this is great when we get the clarification from the people on the ground who actually, have to deal with this and know what they're talking about.
Speaking of being on the ground, actually, I don't know. Maybe you're in the clouds. Patrick Beja, thanks for being with us today.
I am in some sort of haze of tiredness. Does that count as a cloud?
Sure. I think that's a fog, if you will. You're in a fog. What's going on with you besides little sleep deprivation, but where can people keep up with what you're pushing through anyway?
You know what? Just check out Pixels, which is a gaming show. And the latest episode is a wrap-up of E3, where we discussed everything that was announced, shown, our analysis, sentiment, all of that with our good friend Scott Johnson. Just search for Pixels on your podcast app and you'll find it. It's the one time of the year where you do want to listen to a gaming show, even if you're not a gamer. It's the best time for all of us gamers.
Excellent. Hey, thanks to everybody who supports us on Patreon. It is the main way we fund the show. And if you're a patron, you get the show not only commercial free, but with extra content through the RSS feed in the Patreon. So thank you to everybody who supports us. If you didn't realize that in your Patreon, go check that out. And if you'd like to have that extra content, go to patreon.com/DTNS.
Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We read them all. Keep them coming. We're also live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. If you can join us, excellent. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
Bye.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Ooh, I hit the Diamond Club thing a little early, but I kind of like the way the fade out was happening. That was cool.
Very nice.
It's not fine.
Good show.
Good show.
Man, we packed it in.
Well, I mean, I don't want to I want everyone to think that I'm just smart anyway, but I started back on coffee today. And I feel very alert.
Now, I would not have noticed anything. It's not like I don't feel like you're like, whoa, Sarah's a
little wiry today. No,
yeah.
Well, I kind of did this experiment of just not drinking coffee for a few weeks, and it wasn't hard. And now I'm like, okay, well, maybe I just drink it when I feel like it instead of it being
I can
my
quit
daily
anytime.
routine.
I rebid it. But you
Today
understand.
I was like, wow, it's kind of rocket fuel when you've had it out of your system for a couple of weeks.
All right, I am the opposite of alert.
coffee. Yeah, of course.
So I'm gonna go try to get a bit of sleep.
All right. I hope all your family has good sleep tonight.
I hope so too.
Sweet dreams to the Bejans.
I won't say anything because I know what happens.
Thanks, Patrick.
Roger. Grr. All right, thanks everyone.
Bye, Patrick. Bye.
Dun, dun, dun. What happened to my title windows or my Showbot? Showbot.
Lime Showbit.
If you want to play along.
Showbot.
Orange Showbit.
There's YouTube now is confusing as Google messaging. And then I like horrible bosses Tesla edition.
Was he really being a horrible boss?
All right.
It depends on.
Also, YouTube only confusing to us. My point was that it's not confusing if you're everywhere else.
Which is funny because as Patrick so eloquently described why he likes this, I was still like, there's just a lot of naming conventions that I feel like I understand that Google is consolidating all of this stuff, but they've had a lot of different brand names for a long time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're coming to this fresh, it makes perfect sense. There's now YouTube Music free with ads.
Right.
YouTube Music Premium, which doesn't have ads, and then YouTube Premium, which is like not just music, but also everything else on YouTube. Like it's super simple now, but all of us are like, wait, but how does that compare to Google Play Music and YouTube Red? And
Right.
yeah.
I personally like Musk. Listen, y'all, it's Sabotage.
It's
Oh my gosh.
Sabotage.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, we can do that. I like that.
Good work, eBarch.
E-Barch coming through.
You know, it's not every day that we can bring the Beastie Boys into our show,
Not often enough.
but when we do, I'm always thankful. Yeah, not often enough.
Hey, ladies, get funky.
You could probably do the drums in that song.
All the ladies in the house.
Not sure. There's a lot of trumpeting on Beastie Boys album collections.
Well, that's how we make it our own. Is
Yeah, trumpets.
Yeah.
make
I
our
don't even
ska
remember-
version of Hey Ladies.
It was. I mean, I played the trumpet for 1 year in 5th grade, so it's like I don't even know if I like learned to play anything. You know,
I
it was
actually
more just
played-
like young kids. Kind
I
of.
played cornet in 5th grade and trumpet in 6th grade.
We probably played really simple stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know. But yeah,
I
I
don't
remember
remember
being like,
anything.
the trumpet's so cool, you know? I want to be like a cool kid and trumpets were cool to me. But it was difficult. Yeah.
Well, you need the cheeks for it to hold and blow out the air.
Yeah. It's a lot of facial muscle kind of.
I stayed away from any wind instrument because I remember seeing the spit valves on the trombone. It's like, nah, that's gross.
It's pretty gross.
There's a lot of spit.
I mean, I still, anytime I see an orchestra play, I'm like, that's magic. I don't know how you people are doing this.
It's amazing. Once you get into it, it's like, it's weird because when you're really good at it, 90%, or I shouldn't say 90, 80, 70% of it's muscle memory. And your brain is just reading ahead and telling your body, all right, this is what's coming up next. Switch over to this.
Right. It still is magic to
But
me.
everybody does it at the same time. I think
Right.
that's the thing is like when you've been in band, you start to understand just how hard a really good symphony is.
Sure. Well, and the importance of a conductor, you know, because of course, you know, everyone like you make fun of the conductor and whatever. It's like that's
is he
all.
doing?
Speaking of precise, you know, it's a
had a
huge
little-
part of the whole thing.
I'm gonna let in everyone a little secret. I never paid attention to the conductor. I always listen to
That's
the.
why you didn't join a symphony orchestra.
I would pay attention to the first chair violinist.
So you still had a guy.
Oh
So
no!
you
See, this is
drafted-
the important thing.
You
I
drafted
would
off the
keep-
first chair. That's
I-
actually super smart, right?
I would pay attention to the sheet music, and then I could hear the violinist, so I knew where I needed to be,
Mm-hmm.
and then I knew the kind of the tempo.
And the first chair violinist is probably paying attention to the
Oh, yeah.
conductor. So
Let him do the work.
yeah, which is also probably why you're not in a symphony orchestra.
Oh,
Love a good orchestra.
being in symphony orchestra in a symphony orchestra doesn't pay the bills. That's why a lot of those people.
Unless you're really, really good.
Well, even if you're really good, you can get, but you don't make money doing that. You make money doing, appearances or doing albums or
which you don't get unless you're in the symphony orchestra. So
I'm just saying it doesn't pay the bills. You do other stuff.
I think you're oversimplifying.
I mean, what about world's greatest symphonies? Like those
they
people
make.
are just
Roger, what you're saying is right. Is like they probably make the most of their money outside of the actual symphony work, but they wouldn't be getting that money if they didn't have the symphony work. So it basically does pay the bills to be in the symphony because it leads to the other work.
raises for all symphony orchestra members.
It's not like major symphony orchestra members have to have a part-time job. I don't think.
One would think if you're that talented, you should not have to have.
I mean, granted, they weren't first chair or anything, but a lot of them were music teachers, and what they would do. Do you know what a chamber orchestra is?
Yeah.
So they would do that on the side. So they would play weddings, special events, and
I guess my point is, but those are all related to their being a symphony orchestra, and you're going to get hired as a music teacher. Like, oh, but you're second chair in the symphony orchestra. That's great. It's different than I'm in the symphony orchestra, but I also have to work in this office job.
No, you would work in a related field. You're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
It all kind of ties together. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like any musician. You couple together your gigs.
Right. So what you're saying is...
Get to practicing, everyone.
Yeah, we have to be really good when we go on the road.
If you want to get to Carnegie Hall, you call up an Uber or Lyft.
How do you get to Carnegie Hall? The train.
Okay, that's good, Scott. What about those churros?
How about them churros?
I'm gonna call a special breed of burros churros.
Burros as in
the animal.
Oh, okay. But you're just gonna call them churros?
The churro burros.
It kind of implies that somehow the burro is part of the snack.
It sounds like a snake that's eating itself.
It could be just a cinnamon-smelling burro. Special breed of cinnamon-smelling burro.
The Kerberos.
Yeah.
The Kikaro wrote of. And Kirky. We were having this conversation because we're reading the book Circe, which is based on the Roman nymph goddess. It's not really goddess, I guess. She's nymph, but
a nymph.
It's based on Circe, the mythological figure.
Not Cersei Lannister.
No.
Was she a nymph? She was a nymph that turned all of Odysseus's men into pigs.
Yep, that's the one. Anyway, it's a novel that's based on her legend, and there was a conversation about, well, what's the proper pronunciation? And thank goodness in the Sword and Laser audience, we had some actual classics scholars who were like, well, the proper pronunciation, if you're going to pronounce it like we think the ancient Greeks did, would be Kirky, but no one does that. No one's going to know what you mean by that. And we're not even 100% certain that's how they said it. So Circe is really what everybody should say. And I was like, oh, that's so good. Like, the technically right answer isn't always the proper answer.
Yeah, it's like when people say, no, the founder said it's Jif.
That is true, though.
I am trolling everybody a little bit on that, but I'm like, I don't know. You just say GIF.
That's I just use Adam's peanut butter, and I'm set.
Choosy moms choose GIF.
Choosy moms choose GIFs.
Why is mom so choosy? Just pick something so we can leave the store already.
That's why I do a giraffe.
Giraffe. They have the same number of neck vertebrae that we do.
Yeah, they're so tall, they're almost like they're a giant.
What? They're just bigger vertebrae. Wow, really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
I want to be an animal.
I'm going to start saying heaf.
Wait,
I sent you an animated heaf.
do that. Yeah, that's good. Just put this whole thing to bed. We're calling it Heath.
From now on,
No
that's
one's
standard.
wrong,
That's DTNS style.
fighting. Yeah.
Put it in the style guide.
It's like Gigante instead of Giant.
Yeah, exactly. Solves the whole thing.
Geronimo. Instead of Geronimo. Yeah, Geronimo. What else do you spell with G? Jeff? Hef? Right? I guess Jeff. Hef.
Oh, like GEOFF? Yeah.
He off.
He off.
He off.
Bringing it back to the burrow.
Churro Burrows.
No offense to any Jeffs.
We love Jeffs.
I like the name Jeffrey, but I particularly like it spelled with the G.
My best friend from kindergarten's named Jeff. He follows me on Twitter. We talk a lot.
Well, isn't that nice?
Isn't that nice?
I had to report an account on Instagram. A friend of mine, who shall not be named, had decided not to be on Instagram anymore.
You're friends with Voldemort?
Yeah. Voldemort had a really bad morning. No, my friend, who I just knew was like, he didn't deactivate his account or anything, but I sort of noticed that he had followed me and mutual friends had started to like his stuff. And he was like, I haven't been on Instagram in months. Can you please report that account? Always weird,
So wait, if Voldemort had a bad hair day, well, he couldn't because he has no hair.
It's every day, really.
Yeah.
Well, he did have hair. It would have just have to be in the past. That's all.
So he's just having a bad afterlife, sort of. Well, it's not really an afterlife for him, is it?
He's not undead, right?
Well, I mean, spoiler alert. After book 7.
Sorry. I just,
Spoiler alert.
when do the
Book ends
spoilers-
eventually.
Spoiler alert. The good guys win.
Wait, what? Shoot. I'm going
This
to
is
cancel
the
my
big-
Harry Potter experience ticket.
The big one is that at the end they have a celebratory.
I'm Slytherin.
They have
You
a
actually, you hadn't, well, I think all of you have been to that, right?
No,
I've been to the one here in Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize there were more than one.
There's one in Orlando, too.
A friend of mine was like, would you want to go? I know that's kind of, I don't know. And I'm like,
wanna
I
go.
love Harry Potter. Why
It's
not?
fun.
Yeah,
It's
that
fun.
sounds fun.
Fun for adults, fun. What gives you the excuse to say you're like, yeah, I know it's a kid's park, but the Three Broomsticks serves craft beer.
Got it.
So you can say like, it's really an adult area.
This is adult fun too.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I mean, it's been a while, but I've been to Disneyland as an adult. It's
Yeah,
fun,
Great.
I don't think
It's
you even need the excuse, to be honest. Like,
Right, and I know the two aren't exactly
you
the
don't
same,
need
but it's
it.
like, it's you feel like a kid again.
But no, it's
there we
funny.
go.
You feel
Strike It
both.
Rich has it. Park the car in the garage.
Ah,
Harahe.
the heritage. If you're a,
Carriage, if you're British.
and that concludes my snooty British.
Yes, snooty British.
British people aren't snooty. We were making jokes before the show.
We'll explain momentarily, but we must leave the national network. I feel like it's when, how like in the baseball game when they like, we're going to say goodbye to the national network. We'll carry on the post game on the local station. I feel like that's what we do when we like say goodbye to the video.
All right. See you guys mañana.
Mañana.
Bye, everyone.